Hi everyone, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a tutorial to share with you today. We're getting tremendous inspiration from this book called A Beginner's Guide to Constructing the Universe, the Mathematical Archetypes of Nature, Art, and Science, a Voyage from 1 to 10. So today we're going to be working on expanding golden rectangles. So the first thing we're going to do is construct our first golden rectangle. I have my compass and I'm setting it to about 1 inch, and I'm going to draw a circle in the lower right hand corner. Next, I'm going to draw my diameter right through the center. Then I'm going to expand my compass, set it at the bottom of the diameter, and swing arcs on the right and left side. I'm going to repeat that with the top part of the diameter. Now I've got 2 points that I can connect, and I can bisect my diameter. And now I have 4-fold symmetry for my circle. Erase all those extra arcs, and now we can connect those 4 points, and that's going to give us a perfect square. Now you want to use as fine a tip as possible, because even the width of your pencil lead can distort the final golden rectangle proportion. Next, I'm going to measure, and I'm using my calipers for measurement, and I found this to be the best way to measure and to find the midpoint of the square versus using my ruler. So now I have the full size of my square. I'm going to find the midpoint, use my calipers once again so that I can measure that on my square. And then I'm going to mark on my square that midpoint, the top and at the bottom. Now we want to find the midpoint so that we can find our golden rectangle. So I'm going to connect that line, although that's not necessary, and then set my compass on that top point and set it to the lower corner of my square so that I can swing an arc from the lower corner of the square all the way up, and then set my compass again at the midpoint and then swing an arc. So now we're going to connect the top part of our square and the lower part of our square to those arcs. And then once again, we're going to connect from the top to the bottom using our straight edge. We can erase all of the extra arcs and lines. This is how we get our first golden rectangle. So now that we have one golden rectangle, we can actually make nesting golden rectangles and expanding golden rectangles. First, I want to make sure that we did indeed make a golden rectangle. So I'm going to take the measurements for the lesser portion and the larger portion. I'm dividing the lesser portion by the larger portion, and I'm getting about 0.617, and our golden ratio is 0.6180339, and then of course that continues. So we're going to measure again and just make sure that our measurements are correct before we continue to make smaller golden rectangles and larger golden rectangles. And even a small discrepancy can give us an incorrect golden ratio. So I'm going to erase those marks, and I'm just keeping a log of our golden ratios off to the side. And now we can continue expanding our golden rectangle. Now you want to keep in mind where your square is so that we can expand in a circular fashion. So you want to take the long side of your golden rectangle, and now it's going to become the edges of your square. So we're going to expand that original golden rectangle, then measure once again the side and connect those 2 points, and that's going to give us a square that is attached to our original golden rectangle. We can erase those extra lines, and now we're going to continue the process, measuring the long side of the golden rectangle. And then I'm going to use my ruler to expand my lines so that I know that they are parallel. And I'm going to expand them even larger than what I need. I can always erase it and then use my calipers to measure where that square is on both sides. And at this point, you can use a ruler. The calipers are especially helpful when you're going smaller with your nesting golden rectangles, but as you're going larger, the larger proportions even out a little bit better than the smaller proportions, where even a little discrepancy can really throw off your golden rectangle. So we're going to continue now, and I'm going to just work with my page and where I have put my original golden rectangle, thinking that I could spiral from the left to the right and up again and then over again. So I'm marking once again using my calipers and then drawing a line across where those 2 points are, and you can see our square and our original rectangle, and then you can see the square and the original rectangle nesting back down into our very first golden rectangle. I did need to tape some paper to my original sheet of paper because it wasn't big enough, and working on a piece of butcher paper might be a little bit easier so that you have enough space to make your expanding rectangles. But because we're working with a Fibonacci sequence, they expand rapidly and they're quite large. I decided to add a little spiral once I was done with our rectangles, and this is optional. There's plenty that you could do when it comes to our golden rectangles. You can expand them out, you can expand them in, you can make them nesting, and you can also add a spiral to it, which sort of looks like a seashell. Once this was all done, I decided to cut it out because all those extra pieces of paper were a little bit distracting. But once you cut off the extra pieces of paper, you have just your golden rectangle with the smaller ones nested inside, and you can really see that geometry as well as that spiral. I hope that you enjoyed this look at our geometry lesson using this amazing book. Don't forget to check out the blog post that accompanies this video for more information and links to the resources that I've used. You can find the link to that blog post in the description box below. And if you'd like to see what we're doing for geometry on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.